Having wrapped up a state visit to the UK, President Yoon, now in Paris, promotes Busan as the best choice for the 2030 World Expo. Ahead of the final voting next week, we take a look at what efforts have been made so far and what's to come. The top diplomats of South Korea, Japan, and China are set to gather this weekend, also in the country's southern port city, for talks that haven't been held in 4 years. Their meeting is to coordinate a summit between their leaders. The 4-day ceasefire between Israel and Hamas kicked in, following which 13 Israeli women and child hostages are set to be released. It's November 24th, 2023. This is News Center. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon. We're starting in Paris, where President Yoon on Friday, during his 3-day trip there, held a bilateral summit with French President Emmanuel Macron as he wrapped up his state visit to the UK. According to a senior presidential official, the two leaders held a breakfast meeting at the Elysee Palace and discussed various areas of economic cooperation, including in science and technology. They also mulled over ways to expand their cooperation for a better future. The officials said as they held the summit over breakfast, their talks would be friendly and intimate without being confined to any structure. Also in Paris, President Yoon promotes South Korea's port city Busan as the best choice for the 2030 World Expo, focusing on the city's power of culture and technology. Correspondent Woo Soo-young tells us more.
The World Expo in Busan would be a place where culture, technology and ideas meet and create synergy between countries. That's according to President Yoon on Thursday, addressing representatives of the Bureau International des Expositions in Paris, as he pushed for South Korea to host the 2030 edition of the exhibition. The international fair, which began with London's Great Exhibition in 1851, is held every 5 years to showcase humanity's advances in science, industry and culture as mirrors of their time, and also set out visions for the future.
It's the second time this year that the South Korean president has visited the French capital, where the organising body of the World Expo is located. It is here in Paris, where the final vote for the host city will be held on Tuesday.
Busan, Riyadh and Rome are in the running to host the World Expo that will run from May to October in 2030, with representatives of 182 BIE member states casting a secret vote. At a banquet held to promote Busan's bid on Thursday, Yoon greeted Paris-based diplomats and BIE delegates and highlighted the growing interest in Korean culture, including food, music and movies, among people around the world. He said with the appeal of Korea and Busan's cultural assets, the exhibition in 2030 would promote understanding and exchanges of different cultures, technologies and ideas as an expo of solidarity.
Korea is a country of future of technology, innovation, very dynamic, very attractive in terms of culture. And one way to leverage on this is to leverage on tangible things, which means foreign policy, working on cooperation for existing projects, trade, but it's also intangible. Intangible means culture, and means potential in science innovation. And actually the intangible aspect is the most attractive feature of Korea in Europe and many countries these days.
Under the theme of transforming our world, navigating towards a better future, Busan aims to become a solution platform to address common challenges facing humanity by promoting global solidarity and cooperation for development and prosperity. The theme is rooted in South Korea's history of transformation, from the ashes of the 1950 to 53 Korean War to become a tech and cultural powerhouse. During his 3-day stay in Paris, Yoon will hold more BIE-related engagements, leading efforts across government and the private sector, including the nation's top conglomerates like Samsung, LG and Lotte. The top office has hinted that the final presentation for Busan will be delivered by an influential figure in the international community. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Paris.
For more on South Korea's World Expo bid, we have our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin joining us in the studio. Hi, Yoo-jin.
Hello, Jong-un.
Not long until a crucial day.
You're right, Jong-min. So the host country of the 2030 World Expo will be announced next Tuesday, November 28th, during the 173rd General Assembly of the Bureau International d'Exposition, that is the event's organizer in Paris. And as Soo-young mentioned in a report, currently President Yoon, government officials, and business tycoons are in France, striving to secure at least one more vote from member states to clinch the bid. Now, with hopes high not only here in Korea, but over in France as well, let's have a look back on Korea's journey to bring the World Expo to Busan. The decision on which country will host the 2030 World Expo is just around the corner. South Korea's second-largest city, the southern port city of Busan, is competing against Saudi Arabia's Riyadh and Italy's Rome. While this year has been packed with expo-related events, Busan's preparation started years before.
Busan's efforts to host the expo have been ongoing since 2016. Throughout the last 7 years, South Korea as a whole and the city government have worked hard. For example, Busan promoted its expo bid to regions that it did not have close contact with before, such as Africa.
Korea has gone all out to bring the expo to Busan. Designating the 2030 World Expo Busan as a national task, President Yoon, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, and Foreign Affairs Minister Park Jin traveled to dozens of countries to rally support. President Yoon even took the stage as a speaker during Busan's fourth presentation to the Bureau International d'Exposition. The private sector joined forces too, with the leaders of Samsung, SK, Hyundai Motor, and LG going overseas as economic delegations, promoting the Busan Expo by screening promotional videos and installing large-scale advertisements. According to the Prime Minister, government officials and business leaders visited 180 countries, all told. Businesses also worked diligently at home to boost domestic interest.
We teamed up with the Busan city government to establish this designated area for the 2030 World Expo in hopes of bringing it to Busan.
I didn't know that Korea had prepared so much for the Expo bid. It makes me realize how important this is. I really hope Busan wins.
Renowned cultural figures joined in too. BTS held a free concert in Busan, and soprano Cho Soo-mi, along with singer Psy and aespa's Karina, took part in Busan's BIE presentation. But the heart of Busan's campaign lies with the unrivaled enthusiasm of the people living there. Thousands welcomed the BIE when they arrived at Busan train station in April for an on-site visit.
I would go after almost 20 years in expos, and I have been on many inquiry missions throughout expos. I don't think I have ever seen such an enthusiasm in the local population for an event.
Behind this was the Citizens Committee on Busan's bid for the 2030 World Expo, which also organized the Gwanghwanli Fireworks Festival and expo-themed movie and music festivals with the public.
Busan has experience hosting major international events like the World Cup and Asian Games. So we have the know-how, the facilities, and efficient transport infrastructure. That's why Busan is ready to successfully host the expo.
With fingers firmly crossed, all that's left now is for the 182 BIE member countries to make a decision in Paris on November 28th.
부산 화이팅!
파이팅!
부산 엑스포 화이팅!
부산 화이팅!
What a journey it has been. And as we are waiting for the decision next Tuesday, how will the host city be decided?
So to talk about the schedule, the BIE's 173rd session of the General Assembly is set to kick off, as I mentioned before, next Tuesday, November 28th, 10 a.m. Paris time. That will be 6 p.m. Korea time. And then the three candidate cities will be giving their fifth and final presentations to the BIE. That is expected to start at around 7:30 p.m. Korea time. And South Korea will be the first to present. And then representatives of the 182 member states will cast their votes via electronic voting. And if no candidate secures 2/3 of the votes in the first round, the voting will proceed to a second round. So we expect the final result to come out at around Wednesday, 1 a.m. Korea time.
And Eugene, you have been covering Busan's Expo bid since early this year. You have been to Busan during the BIE delegation's on-site inspection. The bid has almost come to a close. Tell us, how do you feel about Busan's chances?
Well, just like all the people who've worked so hard to promote Busan's bid, I'm feeling a bit nervous because, as we talked about, there's only a few days left until the final decision is made. But I want to mention that I'll be going down to Busan for my last Busan Expo bid coverage. I hope this is not my last Busan Expo coverage, to really capture the overall excitement in Busan ahead of the BIE's final decision. And Busan City will also be broadcasting the General Assembly live, allowing thousands of people to watch on in anticipation, so please stay tuned for that coverage as well.
I'll be watching. All right, wishing Busan the best of luck. Thank you, Yujin.
Thank you.
The foreign ministers of South Korea, Japan, and China will meet this weekend in Busan for talks that haven't been held in over 4 years. Their meeting is to coordinate a summit between their leaders. Our foreign affairs correspondent Bae Eun-ji has more.
Top diplomats of South Korea, Japan, and China will sit down for talks on resuming trilateral summits between their leaders that have not taken place for the past 4 years. Seoul's foreign ministry announced on Friday that its minister Park Jin and his Japanese and Chinese counterparts, Yoko Kamikawa and Wang Yi, are set to meet in Busan on Sunday. Foreign ministers of the three countries last held such a meeting in August 2019. The ministry explained that the three officials will discuss details regarding resuming the trilateral summit. Ways to deal with North Korean threats following the regime's recent military spy satellite launch, as well as measures to boost cooperation between the three countries, will also be on the agenda. Park will also hold separate bilateral meetings with his Chinese and Japanese counterparts on Sunday. The trilateral summit between the presidents of the three countries was last held in December 2019 in China's southwestern city of Chengdu. It has not taken place for more than 4 years, largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic and as relations deteriorated between Seoul and Tokyo. The South Korean government, which aims to hold this kind of summit before the end of this year, has been in talks with Japan and China after the three countries agreed to hold a three-way meeting at an early date during a senior officials meeting in September. While there are a lot of different speculation as to when the summit will be held, one expert says it could take place next month.
The three countries have already decided to hold the summit as soon as possible during working-level talks, and the summit between South Korea, China and Japan is traditionally held in December, so I think it could possibly be held in late December.
But he explains that the issues surrounding Taiwan and strained relations between Seoul and Beijing could pose risks. China earlier lodged a complaint after President Yoon pointed out the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and a rules-based maritime order in the South China Sea, in an interview with a British media outlet ahead of his visit to London. Other pundits suggest that the summit could be held sometime early next year, either in January or April. Sunday will also mark the first time in more than 2 years for Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to visit South Korea. All eyes are now on the message China will send in response to heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. Bae Eun-ji, Arirang News.
As North Korea propagates the success of its latest spy satellite launch, its leader Kim Jong-un called it its right to self-defense as he visited the regime's space agency. His daughter Kim Ju-ae was also there, making another public appearance in month. Choi Min-jung reports.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was all smiles when he visited the National Aerospace Development Administration on Thursday alongside his daughter Kim Ju-ae. The visit came a day after North Korea announced that it had successfully launched a military reconnaissance satellite into orbit. North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency reported Kim saying that having a military reconnaissance satellite is a proud exercise of the right to self-defense that cannot be compromised.
The launch of the reconnaissance satellite is the legal right of the Democratic Republic of Korea to strengthen its right to self-defense. It will greatly enhance the military's war readiness in accordance with the security environment created in the country and surrounding areas, caused by the enemy's dangerous military actions.
Also at the site was Kim's daughter, Kim Ju-ae, appeared in public for the first time since attending a military parade in September, commemorating the regime's founding anniversary. North Korean media also highlighted that Kim Joo-ae attended the launch's celebration banquet and gave more attention to her than her mother, Lee Seol-ju. Meanwhile, North Korea on Thursday revealed video footage of the launch. The video captured 4 streaks of flames spewing out of the rocket, indicating that the regime increased the number of engines from 2 to 4. The KCNA also reported that its spy satellite had taken pictures of U.S. military bases in Guam and transmitted them to Pyongyang. North Korea said the spy satellite will officially begin its mission on December 1st. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Admiral Yang, the ROK Navy's Chief of Naval Operations, met with his U.S. counterpart, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, on Friday and discussed methods for further military cooperation. This was during Admiral Franchetti's 2-day trip to South Korea for talks on strengthening joint defense and to encourage the U.S. naval forces in Korea. During the talks, Admiral Yang said that the joint efforts of the two navies serve as a model example of South Korea-U.S. cooperation and that they should work more closely to take their combined defense posture to the next level. The two met on the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier, which arrived in the southern port city of Busan earlier this week. Franchetti previously served as commander of the U.S. Naval Forces Korea. In the Middle East, a 4-day ceasefire went into effect in Gaza starting Friday morning, following which Hamas will release 13 Israeli women and child hostages. For the first time after 48 days of war, no sound of artillery fire, airstrikes, and rockets. An Song-jin has the latest.
Israel and Hamas began a 4-day ceasefire on Friday morning. CNN journalists in the south of Israel said the sounds of artillery fire, airstrikes, and rockets stopped around 20 minutes after the ceasefire took effect at 7 a.m. As a part of the truce, Hamas is set to release 13 women and children later in the day, after Qatar mediated a deal to free hostages held in Gaza. A total of 50 hostages out of some 240 people kidnapped by Hamas will be freed over the 4-day ceasefire, while 150 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons will also be released in exchange, starting with 39 on Friday. The pause between Israel Defense Forces and Hamas comes following nearly 7 weeks of fighting after Hamas launched attacks on Israel on October 7th. Humanitarian aid is also being delivered to the Gaza Strip through the Rafah crossing, the only access point now for assistance to enter the enclave. According to Egypt's State Information Service, some 130,000 liters of diesel fuel and 4 trucks of gas will enter Gaza from Egypt daily starting Friday. Humanitarian supplies including food, medicine, and water will also enter the Strip on 200 trucks. According to officials in Gaza, since the October 7th attack, nearly 15,000 people have died in Gaza, including over 6,000 children, while around 36,000 people have been injured. And the death toll could be even higher, with the authorities in Gaza pointing to difficulties in retrieving bodies as the war escalated. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear that Israel's military campaign will continue after the pause.
We'll continue with our war aims, namely to eradicate Hamas.
Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, speaking to the IDF naval personnel on Thursday, also vowed that Israel would resume intense fighting after the short truce. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
The job market in South Korea is showing signs of slowing, and new positions available for young people are logging a continuous decline. According to data released by Statistics Korea on Friday, there were 379,000 more jobs available in the second quarter of the year compared to the same period last year. This is the first time since 2021 that year-on-year growth has fallen below the 400,000 mark. Additionally, the job market for those in their 20s and younger recorded a decline for the third consecutive quarter, shedding nearly 70,000 jobs, with the retail sector reducing employment opportunities during this period. Visiting pop-up stores is a popular trend for a number of people here in Korea, especially among the younger generations. With this trend, marketing specialists are looking at ways for brands to specifically target that generation. Park Go-eun went out to find out more.
People wait outside pop-up stores even before opening hours in the cold weather. Among those people, it is easy to spot a lot of so-called Zalfas, a word used to describe members of Gen Z born between 1996 through 2009, and the Alpha generation born after 2010. And an increasing number of pop-up stores catering to Zalfa-aged visitors have been appearing, especially in places such as Seongsu, where about 100 pop-up stores open monthly. I'm here at a pop-up store located in Seongsu, eastern Seoul, the site of many pop-up stores. At this store, I'll be riding this boat, one of the activities here that mainly targets the so-called Zalfa generation. Inside, there are a variety of activities for the Zalfa generation to enjoy. The group is also referred to as funsumers because they tend to seek out fun experiences while buying products.
It's great to know what kind of products companies sell and what I can experience through pop-up stores.
To target these funsumers, brands are working hard to make special pop-up stores.
Following the relaxing of COVID-19 measures, pop-up stores have been a great offline marketing means. Brands are trying their best to show their identity while competing with other brands.
She added, through these efforts, over 1,000 people visit the store daily on average, with Zalfas accounting for around 70% of total visitors. She also said that sales at pop-up stores are not as much as the investment put in. According to a professor of consumer science, another reason pop-up stores are popular with the Zalfa generation is that they can make good locations for photos, which can then be posted on social media. The professor also shared negative aspects of these stores.
As these stores open for about 2 to 3 weeks, there's a lot of waste after they close. Also, the high cost of opening stores means a higher price for products.
Though she was concerned about these problems, she predicted that these stores would continue to be popular. However, she said brands would need to be innovative in terms of operation and structure to keep young customers interested in pop-up stores. Park Go-eun, Arirang News.
Unfortunately, we expect bad fine dust levels this winter in Korea. This is prompting the authorities to limit the operations of certain vehicles and place restrictions on coal-fired power plants starting next month. Our Lee Soo-jin explains what you need to know.
As fine dust levels spike with the arrival of winter, South Korea is limiting operation of certain vehicles and coal-fired power plants. The South Korean government announced on Friday that it will enact the 5th fine dust seasonal management system from December 1st all the way through to March 31st next year. This includes measures aimed at controlling fine dust levels by reducing the amount of air pollution. To do so, starting this year, operations of what are categorized as Grade 5 vehicles in the Seoul metropolitan area, as well as the 6 metropolitan areas including Daejeon, Sejong, Gwangju, Daegu, Ulsan, and Busan, will be prohibited from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and for Ulsan until 6 p.m., excluding only weekends and holidays. Those caught violating the ban will receive a 100,000 won fine, which is around $76. Grade 5 vehicles include mid-size or smaller gasoline-powered vehicles made before 1987 and large gasoline or gas-powered vehicles made before 2000, as well as small to mid-size diesel cars released before July 2002. Also, if air pollution levels continue to rise, the government will also reenact the mandatory alternate no-driving day program for public institutions where employees are unable to drive to work on a given day depending on the last digit of their car's license plate. Also under the system, operation at most of 15 government-owned coal-fired power plants will be suspended and emission levels will be set for 47 others. All of these measures aim to reduce emissions by 17% compared to levels between December 2018 and March 2019, the period before the seasonal management system was implemented. And the Ministry of Environment, along with NASA, will also investigate air quality on the Korean Peninsula as well as East Asia. One expert said that the winter season is when fine dust levels are likely to spike due to higher air pollution.
The reason air pollution is higher during winter is because of heating in buildings. During the summer, fine dust levels go up, mostly due to vehicle emissions, and in winter, it's the heating, especially because solid and liquid fuels are still used in heating systems in Korea.
He added that to further reduce fine dust levels during winter, the government should consider implementing measures that will lead to a switch to electricity and gas heating. 이수진, 아리랑 뉴스.
Extreme cold is set to sweep across the nation this weekend. Tomorrow will be especially frigid with lows plunging all the way down to -6 degrees Celsius. Cold, blustery winds will follow and temperatures will feel close to -9. On Sunday, overall conditions will get a touch milder. For tonight, cold wave alerts are issued for Gyeongsang-do provinces. Chances are very high that they will expand to further parts of inland regions tomorrow. For eastern parts of the country, dry spells are intensifying. For the coastlines of Gangwon-do and Gyeongsang-do provinces, dry weather advisories are in place. At times, there will be gusty winds, so please be careful with anything that can start a fire. Tomorrow, Seoul and Daejeon will be starting off at -6 degrees. Daytime highs will be returning to the positive range. Seoul will get up to 4 degrees, Gwangju 8, Busan will reach 10 degrees Celsius. Next Monday, central regions will see brief showers and temperatures will get much warmer. In the meantime, today is my very last day here at Arirang TV. Next week, our new weathercaster will provide you with the latest weather updates. For the last time, here are the weather conditions around the world. That is News Center for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up